Hi and welcome back to Fortress Festival. I'm here with Dödsrit, and I have to say I've been checking out your last album quite a lot. Would I be right in saying there's a hardcore influence happening in that record? Because it's like full on black metal, but then it does slip into almost like Converge style, not Converge, but like much like straight vocally, especially. Is there an influence there of hardcore?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we make no secret that both me and Christopher have a background more like D-beat and crust music.
Yeah, it certainly comes through. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially like Christopher started the project. With the first two records, it was even more evident than on this last one. I actually feel with the last two records was we became a full band. And we started co-writing together on the albums. We slightly took more of a black metal approach,
Sure.
rather than the more like black metal meets hardcore kind of approach. But yeah, these influences are still undeniable.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and even though it's got those hardcore elements, you still have like the longer tracks, the more sort of progressive style of song arrangement, which I find quite interesting. In the it's not like short, sharp shocks. It's like there is song development going on there. There's some classic metal staples in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say that we take quite a lot of influences from a lot of different places, both from hardcore punk, D-beat crust, some post-metal stuff like Cult of Luna, also some more traditional heavy metal like Judas Priest, and funny enough, actually a lot more of the like twin lead parts, which people usually refer to as the Iron Maiden parts that we have.
Right.
They're not per se influenced by Iron Maiden, but rather actually by punk bands, more notably Tragedy. That was a very big influence. Yeah, Martyrdom as well. Some of the Japanese Burning Spirit bands, such as Deathside. And yeah, I feel like those bands already kind of were hinting more towards some heavy metal influences.
Sure.
So that's probably why people would, make that association.
Absolutely. And the wonderful thing about this festival and black metal in general is for a genre of music that was based in rules to begin with, there don't seem to be any rules anymore. It's very fluid. We've got everything from folk influenced stuff to all the more keyboards influenced stuff to like straight at the moment on the band on the stage, just a drummer and a guitarist doing vocals. You got like that broad church there. What do you think it is about black metal that makes it so flexible?
I want to say something about you said influenced by folkish kind of music, and I think black metal has always had the core in like Scandinavian folk music. Like if you play black metal to some old people in Sweden or Norway, who say like, "Oh, this sounds like distorted folk music."
Yeah.
So I think it always has its root in that kind of like the melodies and the structures and whatnot. But yeah, I think it's like positive to not be so narrow-minded.
Absolutely.
And only think like, is this black metal or not? Like try to make something good instead.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's what's most important.
Yeah, and I mean, for me personally, as you mentioned earlier, like there's definitely some punk influences that can be heard in our music. And in my honest opinion, black metal and punk music are just two sides of a very, very thin coin. Or just extreme music in general. It's all just rock and roll. And I think rock and roll music should have no laws, no boundaries.
Absolutely.
And therefore, and even influence-wise, if we're going to take some of the classic founding black metal bands, like let's say Celtic Frost or Hellhammer or Bathory. I mean, it's undeniable that if you're going to listen to, the self-titled album of Bathory, it just sounds like Discharge and GBH on crack.
Absolutely.
And even Blasphemy from Canada, they just sound like Napalm Death with more evil. So
Yeah. You completely bang on the money for me on that one. Yeah, definitely. Especially in those early primitive recordings that remind me a lot of crust punk in places. There's a lot of a narco sort of feel to them. So yeah, that's absolutely true. So this summer, are you on a festival run, or is you just doing this one specially?
I guess we're just doing a few festivals, not per se a run.
Also a small tour in August.
Yeah, we're doing also a small tour in August with Goods for Laat from the US. And yeah, that's pretty much our summer run for now. We had quite an extensive, well, actually, it was not that extensive for Dödsrit, because first we did a 2-week tour with Dödsrit, and some of us had another tour after that, so I was 5 weeks on the road.
Right.
But yeah, for this summer, we have definitely a few very cool festivals happening, such as obviously Fortress Red, where we are now. We have Party Sun coming up, Pit Fest, which is actually more of a punk festival, and then we're playing also Krachenbach in Germany, which is actually a hardcore festival. It's
awesome.
Kind of funny to see us as the only black metal band between all the hardcore bands there.
It's funny you say that, because I was speaking to Devastator before, earlier on today, and we were talking about the fact that because they do like sort of black and thrash, they can fit on a lot of different bills, and you find that with your music as well. You can fit on different types of festivals, so you could be doing like Fortress one day and then, like you say, a hardcore festival the next. It must be a good place to be.
Yeah, it opens up a lot of doors, I think, if you are a bit flexible in that
Yeah.
kind of way, or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's always interesting because it can go both ways. I mean, with my previous band, we actually had the issue that we were too punk for the metalheads and too metal for the punks.
Yeah.
So it was always a bit hard to fit in a way, but you know, we always, yeah, we didn't really give much of a fuck about it. We just thought like, hey, this is the music we want to make. That's the approach we're going to take, and it's the same with Dödsrit, you know. I mean, despite the music definitely taking more of a metal approach compared to the earlier material, we just write whatever we feel is right and which represents the people we are at that moment, basically. I feel like music is just a representation of the artist in the current state they're in.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, are you thinking about the future, like new songs and stuff like that, or is it going to take a while, because, you know, because the album's still doing its thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, like you've been working on some music that you've been sending me like some ideas of. I've been doing the same thing, and honestly, we're just pretty much, yeah, going with the flow, so to speak.
Absolutely.
We definitely, of course, think like, okay, what should we do like next year? We also, of course, get offers sent our way for, let's say, festivals or tours, and you know, we're trying to figure out like what we're gonna do. But when it comes down to music, whenever there's like some form of creativity that's, you know, growing, we're gonna try to grab onto it and make it work out. But of course, we don't like to deal with deadlines when it comes down to our albums. We believe, in all honesty, that you cannot force creativity. It needs to come, exactly. And I mean, in all honesty, like with Nocturnal Will, we kind of were putting a deadline on that record. And thankfully, we did manage to finish the album right on time, but it was such a stressful experience that after that recording, I think we all agreed on like, okay, we're never gonna put a deadline on the record again.
Yeah, creativity comes to you. You don't go to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were, as I said before, we were very lucky that we actually managed to have it finished. But there were definitely a few points where I was just contemplating of just canceling the recording session and postponing it, even though it would create a lot of tension within the band, considering, you know, we don't want to slack. We still want to give for 100%. And sometimes it feels right to, you know, put a deadline like, okay, you have to finish this up. But sometimes, yeah, you just cannot force something.
Yeah, no.
I think also, like, if you correct me if I'm wrong, I think with Nocturnal Will, it was like we had so much ideas, and we thought like, oh, okay, we're gonna have so much time, and we're gonna take our time with this. But it was kind of like, you know, floating out in the sea, so to speak. It was a bit too much. So I think it was a bit important to have kind of like a deadline to kind of like, okay, we can't just drag this on forever.
Yeah.
We need to set our foot down and like make this happen sometime. So.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's actually something I did forget. Actually, some of the ideas, or even some of the earlier version of the songs that ended up on the record, they were ideas that we already had laying around from Mortal Coil, but just never finished up. We knew like, okay, this is actually very good. This is going to be promising to use for the next album. So we thought after finishing up Mortal Coil, like, okay, the next album is going to be done pretty soon. And we had so many demos laying around, so many riffs, so many ideas. But one thing that, at least for myself, what I really got to learn is it's not very difficult to actually write a very good riff. The real difficulty is making the composition. How are you going to connect all the parts together? You know, you can go very simple, do a riff, chorus, verse kind of thing. You know, like the typical punk song. You know. But with some songs it's gonna work, with others not gonna work. I mean, to give you an idea, some of the best songs that I've ever heard could have been like a Misfit song, or it could have been an Anti-Semitic song, which are very simple in composition. Or at the same time, it could be something way more complex, like, what can I say, like, you know, like something prog, like Rush or something, I don't know. Or, you know, just something like that, for example. Exactly. Sometimes less is more, or sometimes you have to go quite over the top.
Yeah, and sometimes more is more.
And with this record, with Nocturnal Will, we definitely tried to find that balance. I think we did quite well, but I cannot deny it was definitely overwhelming, having so many ideas and finding the right way to put it into practice.
Absolutely. And any musician who thinks that they have it cracked hasn't learned a thing.
No, definitely not.
You never stop learning.
You're never pleased. Like you always want to improve and like try to like, is the grass greener on the other side? Like, where should we take this? You know, it's a bit difficult to know when is it ready. You know, or is there room for improvement? Sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Or sometimes, in our case, when do we end the song? I mean, as you might have noticed, the songs tend to be quite long that we write. And I think we definitely had a few times that we thought we finished the song and it was 15 minutes. So we're like, okay, we have to start, you know, cutting parts out. Or sometimes we were like, okay, maybe we should add a part here. And you're basically never done writing. No. I do think, was it Nocturnal Fire or was it Iriala that we had like 8 or 9 versions until we finished that song?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was one of the songs that we were kind of like molding into what it became forever.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, forever to kind of finish it off, so to speak, or to get happy with the result.
Sometimes I think it's like an ice sculpture. You see those people with a chainsaw and the ice sculpture, he's just chipping away, and all of a sudden it forms, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
But there's also been a few cases where the song was pretty much finished like this.
Yeah.
Quite a funny story actually. Ut met Gilbergen Stick, the instrumental track on Nocturnal Will. I think I wrote that song just in an afternoon. It's very much inspired by Martyrdot. If you would hear Martyren from Martyrdot, you're definitely going to see, the similarities. And the first idea that I had was to actually write something a bit more neo-folkish. That's also why we had an acoustic intro to that part. I tried to do something slightly more neo-folkish or even like neoclassical in a way. Unfortunately, I'm a terrible classical guitar player. I'm trying to work on it. But I don't know, I was just listening to Martyrdot one afternoon and then this song just came up to me and I recorded it on the spot and sent it through to the guys like, hey, I know we did not really discuss this song for the album and I know we're recording in a few weeks, but I'm really happy with this. Can we still add this to there? And we did. And surprisingly, a lot of people are really, really stoked for that song and ask us to play it live. And that
Sometimes
was just
it's like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So one question, the last question I'm asking everybody, and we're going to make a playlist out of this. If you had somebody who's a total newcomer to all of this, and you had to describe black metal in one song, a song that you feel would encompass what a newcomer would need to know about black metal. We had Venom black metal already.
Yeah. Explain what it is? Or
a song that best describes this genre.
Oh my god. Ooh, okay, you're asking me a very tough question because, of course, I would think about my personal favorite songs, but really a song that would sum up black metal. God damn.
I think I have one. Krieg by Gorgoroth.
Cool.
Very good one. Honestly, I'm gonna go for a classic, Sacrifice by Bathory.
Sacrifice by Bathory. Perfect. Thank you so much for being with me today, and it's been great to meet you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.